This public service announcement is for all the incoming MSOT students. Just want to say welcome to your OT journey. And this journey will do all kinds of things to you. It will stretch you, refine you, and shape the type of OT that you choose to become. As I reflect where I started in Seminar 2 before Level 2 fieldwork and where I am now at graduation, I can honestly say that this program has helped me develop far more than my academic knowledge. It has reshaped my professional identity, strengthened my leadership skills, and made it clear what it means to enter practice with purpose. Back when I was preparing for Level 2 in Seminar 1, my focus was mostly on mental readiness in the most immediate sense. I knew that each environment would present a different and unique challenge in its own way. So I was thinking whether I knew enough, whether I can perform well in field work, and often wondered if I would be able to meet the expectations that is placed on me as a student clinician at this level. At that point, I understood professional growth mainly as gaining clinical skills, improving documentation justification, and learning to communicate more effectively while building confidence. Those skills were important, but by graduation, I had come to understand that professional identity in OT is much deeper than that. It includes reflective practice, ethical decision making, accountability, and a lot of resilience, therapeutic use of self, and commitment to lifelong learning. As I progressed through the program, I was also able to achieve several important goals. I was able to strengthen my clinical reasoning, became more confident in professional communication, improved my ability to connect theory to functional practice, and develop stronger habits for documentation, time management, and preparation. I also grew personally, and in a way, I respond to challenges. I was one of the older students in my cohort and also the only veteran, so I always felt the journey was affecting me much differently and often felt pressure to perform perfectly. It's always you versus you. And my advice is to never compare yourself to others. That is always going to be a losing battle that will catch up to you sooner or later. Over time, I learned that growth comes from reflection, feedback from people that you respect, and more importantly, self-compassion. That gradual shift helped me move from simply trying to succeed as a student to preparing myself to practice as an entry-level OTR. An important part of growth involved taking care of my personal well-being. I learned that success in graduate school is just not about working harder and tunnel vision. It's about sacrifice and balance. Some strategies that helped me the most were maintaining structure in my schedule by writing down all the due dates on my wall calendar, setting priorities, creating checklists on my whiteboard, leaning on the support of people who understood me, and as well as a lot of breathing exercises, because there is a lot of assignments in the work. It is pretty heavy duty. I learned the value of pausing, reflecting, and making adjustments as soon as I received the feedback. As I continue to grow professionally and personally, I plan to evaluate and refine that growth regularly. On a weekly basis, I will do a brief self-assessment on things that I did well, where I struggled, and where I need to improve in areas such as communication, my confidence, delivery, emotional regulation, and clinical reasoning. Monthly, I will review my goals a little bit more intentionally and identify whether I'm making measurable progress and adjust accordingly. On an annual basis, I will complete a more formal and professional education courses, high quality courses such as workshops, seminars, while seeking constant feedback from my supervisors and mentors. Continuing educational activities and staying on watch for learning opportunities that go beyond just completing the required CEUs. Professional growth should be monitored often enough to catch patterns early, but also to support long-term development. Leadership has also become a meaningful part of my identity as an occupational therapy student. I have learned that leadership is not just holding a title or having good social skills. It often looks like consistency, preparation, integrity, grit, and the ability to positively influence the people around you by your behavior and the way you move. In other words, you have to lead by example. And by that, you have to lead yourself first. Leadership styles that I respond most are by leading by example, as I just mentioned, transformational, and servant leadership. I have been most successful in environments where leaders give me just the right challenge and encourage me to grow, communicate a clear vision for why we do what we do, and most importantly, create a sense of trust, respect, and support. Without that, I can tell you that I would not have been successful in my level 2 rotations. Those leadership approaches have helped me feel empowered, which made a big difference in my success in my clinical rotations. As a student, I feel that I've demonstrated leadership by being dependable, staying engaged, supporting my classmates during group activities, and taking initiative in my own learning. I lead through professionalism, not just performance. That meant that showing up prepared, being teachable, accepting feedback, and maintaining a strong sense of responsibility to the people and tasks that are right in front of me. Moving forward, I plan to maintain and strengthen my leadership in realistic ways. I intend to remain involved in professional organizations, pursue continuing education intentionally, seek mentorship opportunities, and stay open to opportunities for service, advocacy, and collaboration. Back during the foundations course, I created a professional portfolio on the Fort Lauderdale campus, which I will continue to add and use as a living record of my development, and including my resume, credentials, fieldwork experiences, continuing education courses, reflections, leadership activities, and also my future goals. As I look forward to the MBCOT and licensure readiness, I now have a clearer and more realistic preparation strategy than I did before level 2. Earlier in the program, my studying was more general, less targeted. I relied more on reviewing information repeatedly and less on actively testing my understanding of it. Now my preparation strategy is more structured to evidence-based. Research on learning shows that active retrieval practice, testing, and review of rationales will improve long-term retention effectively more than just passive review alone. What does that mean? So that means if I'm intentionally studying a piece of content, I'm trying to understand what they're talking about rather than just watching a video, and doing some other stuff like being on my phone or having distractions in front of me. So upon completion of my MSOT program, my plan is to begin a 10 to 12 week study plan. I will start by taking another baseline assessment, then organize my review by exam domain, complete practice questions daily, and use full-length practice exams to build endurance and identify the weak areas. The current program for studying includes the True Learn, Pass the OT, and the Embassy Study Pack. My goal is to take the Embassy OT exam within about 10 to 12 weeks after program completion. And I do believe this timeline will be realistic and will work for me because it balances momentum with recovery and allows for a more focused, sustainable approach rather than just cramming all the information all at once. I think that understanding the MBCOT registration process is also an important part of this process. So I've already applied for the exam and the eligibility process. I just have to submit the documentation for ADA purposes. Once approved, I will schedule the exam. After passing the MBCOT, maintaining certification requirements, renewing every 3 years, completing the required professional CEUs. This ongoing process matters because the certification is not just about passing the test. It also reflects continuing responsibility to stay competent and compliant for our patients. In addition to the certification, I will need to complete the licensure process in Florida, which I am familiar with since I am a licensed CODA. The general process includes applying through the state licensure board, providing proof of graduation, submitting the MBCOT exam results, completing any required background checks, and paying the necessary fees, meeting the renewal and continuing education requirements to keep the license active. So to new students, my message is to give yourself permission to grow. You will fail, and that's okay. That's how you grow. You don't have to know everything at once. Don't have to know everything at the beginning. What matters most is that you stay teachable, motivated, disciplined, and grounded in your purpose. Why you want to be an OTR. Compete with yourself, never with others. Small, incremental progress will go a long way. Keep building your professional identity with intention. Care for your well-being. Lead through honor, respect, and devotion to duty. Those are my adopted values and principles that I obtained in my time in the military, and they have served me very, very well in every single endeavor that I have ever encountered. Best of luck. Take care.